The electricity system in Nigeria centers on Power Holding Company of Nigeria, which accounts for about 98% of the total electricity generation. Power Holding Company of Nigeria is the main body responsible for power generation and distribution system in Nigeria. The organization accounts for about 98% of the total electricity supply, which over the years has been grossly inadequate. Power generation by other agencies such as the Nigerian Electricity Supply Company relies on thermal power for electricity generation. Electricity generation also consumes petroleum products such as petrol, natural gas, and diesel. The importance of these sources of energy generation has drastically reduced in recent years. However, hydropower that is relatively cheaper than these sources has grown to be more important than other sources. The Power Authority has generated electricity through a mix of both thermal and hydro systems. All the power, distribution, and substations are interlinked through a transmission network popularly known as the national grid. The entire electricity generated nationwide is placed on the National Control Center, Osogbo, from where electricity is distributed to all parts of Nigeria. Electricity is the driving force, the soul or engine for provision of basic amenities as well as industrial hub for any civilized society. Electricity powers appliances at home, pipe water or sewerage, storage of essential health care facilities such as refrigerated vaccines, incubators, blood banks, and sterilizing surgical and other tools. Other crucial use of electricity include educational aids, communication tools such as radio, television, electronic mail facilities, and transportation facilities. Electricity also powers agricultural sector, engineering, banking, manufacturing, and mining.
As a country, we are over 200 million, and what we have presently hovers around 5,000 megawatts, which is like a drop in our ocean of needs. And because there's not enough power at all, what the distribution company in the value chain do, including DEDC Electricity PLC, is to ration. For instance, at DEDC, we have what we call load management schedule, which is a system whereby we rotate the power around the network, especially for paying customers. Sometimes you'll be 3 hours in of power, then 3 hours out of supply of power. This is to ensure that the power goes round. For instance, BEDC gets 9% allocation from the national grid, and it is that 9% which translates to an average of between 300 to 350 megawatts on daily basis that we share among the 4 states that we cover. We share it among the Edo, Delta, Ondo, and Ekiti states. Edo gets the highest because the customer population of Edo is the highest, and because Edo has a transmission hub here. That's why Edo gets more than 42% of that. However, as a company, we've been looking at what we call embedded generation. That is independent power producers that can generate power for us in some hub, and then we can now sell or distribute to willing customers.
The electricity project in Nigeria, we have the BEDC, the ADC, and so depend on the zones. But still, this have not been able to solve the problem. You see, in electricity supply, we have 3 major areas. We have the power generation, we have the transmission, and we have the distribution. You see, we understand that the power that is being generated by the generating authority are not sufficient to even feed the nation. So these lights are being rationed from state to state, from area to area. But based on the question on ground, if we actually want to enjoy electricity, there are 2 major factors. You see, we have alternative to energy, which is called renewable energy. We have the solar system, we have the turbines, and so on and so forth. But fortunately, in this part of the world, all these equipment are very expensive. So the ordinary man find it very difficult, if not impossible, to afford them. Like for you to go into the solar system, the panels, the inverters, the batteries are so expensive that to start with it alone, so this put a lot of people on. But you see, I look at it in the way forward. If the so-called people who took over the privatization from government really want to invest in the energy project, light will surely be available. We also understand that they say in the Nigerian system that this idea where people don't even pay electricity bill. Because with my conversation with one of the BDC officials last week, he said they find it very difficult to even recover revenue from the power they have already supplied. You see, an average Nigerian man is ready to buy fuel of 20,000 naira in a month, but they cannot pay even 5,000 or 2,000 naira like the. But you see, I've also asked questions in this direction, but they are companies that see when the power is not available, that how do people expect them to pay bill? We're also aware that most of the consumers these days have find some alternative means of even not even pay for the right energy they are consuming. So we need to be actually be sincere to ourselves when it comes to energy consumption. Well, one, the people who also provide the energy providers, they are not for that Christmas because they also need to get from what they invested. But unfortunately, our environment does not permit such things. So, not sure if we actually want to enjoy light, electricity, we will play our own part as consumers, and also people who are also generating the power also play their own part.
Again, would be the best way to say
we have done privatization before now. That's why we have the BDC, the EDC, and so on and so forth. But it doesn't work out because that same Nigerian factor is there. I get me so. We also understand that even the people who are even at the end of distribution, they don't even pay for much energy that could go around. Rather, they decide to manage the little energy they paid for. They start rationing from area to area, from zone to zone. So, hardly you can see an area, let me use Benin City as an example, that enjoy light at least 15 hours in a day. But you see, we also understand that what the governor has done about this power plant, where some special lines are being drawn to particular the government offices. But if this is able to go, at least I've taken a survey about this also power plant, that most of government offices who are connected to the government as private individuals who afford it, they have a constant electricity. So if this one could work, then other means can also work.
The cheapest way to deal with darkness is light. And any country without steady power supply is living in that means they are in chaotic what? Darkness. And that country will not move forward. Expect high rate of crime, insecurity, whatever you may call it, unemployment, when there is no steady power supply. If I look at Nigeria, for example, they have, I believe, 1960 something, when they were constructing a hydroelectric turbine, that Kanji Dam, they were having Fox site. Out of that Fox site, I realized that they were only able to what? Construct one, which is Kanji what? Dam. The rest were abandoned. First and foremost, we have enough river. In every state in this country have what? Good flowing river. If each state should generate their electricity, from my own point of view, let every state have their own powerhouse. Let them generate their electricity. They can use different ways. If you can use rubber from the river, you can generate electricity, using it to turn the hydroelectric turbine to give you light. People that have gas, enough oil, can also use what? Gas plants to generate their electricity. Those sector people that have wind, maybe like in the north, you see most of them, they are blind. You see most of them because of the wind there. Use sun to blind most of them. They can use those wind to generate what? Electricity. We have sun here in Nigeria. We can also use sun to generate what? Electricity. There are different means. But the problem here is this. Our government, they are not putting square peg in square hole. They are not using round peg in round hole. They are so self-centered. Permit me to say so. They don't mean well for the masses. If they mean well for the masses, the first thing they need to tackle, if God himself knew that without light, no progress. Without light, you can't see, you don't have vision. Then God said, let there be light. It recreates the earth again by being what? Producing light. Let every government look at God's own perspective of it by making that, but ensuring that there is steady what? spark supply. If there's steady power supply, I will always say crime rate will reduce. If, for example, we have 24 hours light, you see street light everywhere. Before somebody will commit crime, the person will be afraid. You can easily plant cameras everywhere. You can easily have the doctors of everyone. If this light is what, if there's steady power supply. You also find that unemployment will reduce drastically, and companies will come in to invest. For example, look at most of the public sector, which is supposed to be the major source of employment. The money they're supposed to use to take care of what? Their workers, to take care of the welfare of their workers, they are using it to what? Buy diesel, buy fuel to power what? Generator, which ought not to be. If there's steady power supply, I don't think you will spend more than 10,000 to buy a recharge card. But with that light, you can spend that 10,000 in a day. By so doing, the profits you're supposed to generate from what you are doing, you use it for what? Electricity, to generate what? Power. This ought not to be. So our country, our government, I believe they are, if I may say, that those in the hands of our faith, they are already what? Confused.
We don't know how to solve our own problems with our own way. Why I do say so? Because the issue of electricity, if we look at even the advanced countries, they have left all this usual way of light supply from gas and oil. Most of them are using atomic, some are using biofuel, while others use the solar system. Now, when you not think of Nigeria as a whole, we have good sons, enough possibilities. But I keep asking myself, when the power issue was being privatized, we expected that there would be kind of an individual investment into the power supply, and which I expected most of these people to be able to invest into power through solar energy, through biofuel, because if you look at the waste we produce in Nigeria daily, millions of tons of waste, this can be turned into fuel and can be turned into energy to be able to give us light. So we have every opportunity, but the government is not doing it. Even those that we have sold the NEPA to or gave the NEPA to, as it is usually called in Nigeria, not doing it. All are still complaining of the same issue.
Power supply in the state and in Nigeria simply shows that demand outstrips supply. We have seen recurrence of daily collapse of the national grid and the transmission system. So Nigeria has been seen as a country that might be able to produce uninterrupted supply of energy, electricity to its citizens within the next 50 and 100 years if we are to go with the current national grid. And therefore, there is need for urgent energy transition from the petroleum-based economy that is supplying our energy, the gas, to sources of renewable energy that is based on mini hydros, that is based on solar systems. I have been proposing the need for energy democracy, where individuals, communities, cooperatives can come together to produce solar energy systems for their own use. They have the roles and the responsibilities, and if there's any benefit, they should also share in it. We are opposed to the pseudo decentralization of the discos and gencos. We strongly advocate for a decentralized system that puts energy production in the hands of local people.
Renewable energy is energy that is derived from Earth's natural resources, which are not finite or exhaustible, including wind and sunlight. Renewable energy is an alternative to the traditional energy that relies on fossil fuels and coal. The source for renewable energy tends to be much less harmful to the environment. Access to clean modern energy service is an enormous challenge facing the African continent because energy is fundamental for socio-economic development and poverty eradication. Today, 60% to 70% of the Nigerian population does not have access to uninterrupted electricity supply. Energy plays the most vital role in the economic growth, progress, and development, as well as security of any nation. Uninterrupted energy supply is a vital issue for all today. Future economic growth crucially depends on the long-term availability of energy from sources that are affordable, accessible, and environmentally friendly. Energy is an important factor in all the sectors of any country's economy. The standard of living of a given country can be directly related to the energy consumption. Energy consumption patterns in the world today shows that Nigeria and indeed African countries have the lowest rate of consumption. Nigeria suffers from inadequate supply of energy due to the rapidly increasing demand, which is typical of a developing economy. The country is potentially endowed with sustainable energy resources. Nigeria is rich in conventional energy resources, which include oil, natural gas, lignite, and coal. It is also well endowed with renewable energy sources such as wood, solar, hydropower, and wind. Renewable energy has an important role to play in meeting the future energy needs in both rural and urban areas. The development and utilization of renewable energy should be given a high priority, especially in the light of increased awareness of the advanced environmental impacts of fossil-based generation. The need for sustainable energy is rapidly increasing in the world. A widespread use of renewable energy is important for achieving sustainability in the energy sectors in both developing and industrialized countries. Nigeria is blessed with a large amount of renewable natural resources, which, when fully developed and utilized, will lead to poverty reduction and sustainable development.
Because we live in a developing country where we are finding challenges with constant power supply, the need for renewable energy has come to stay. And I also want you to know that the renewable energies that we have several renewable energies. You know, apart from people knowing that we can use solar panels, inverters, batteries, as the case may be, we also have biodegradable source of renewable energy. We also have wind energy. We also have what they call nuclear reactors energies. So these are all renewable sources of energy outside the normal hydroelectricity power generations. You get it? So if we take Nigeria as a case study, renewable energy is becoming a popular thing, but some of the challenges that comes along with it is the sustainability and the fund to purchase. It's obvious that it's expensive, but if the country, if we can have a situation whereby government decides to invest into renewable energy, where the country will now have a plant that can produce the panels, solar panels, for example, then it will be a cheap thing and something that can be affordable by the common man. But the way it is now, is something being run by individual and individual personal businesses, where you see vendors doing importation of panels. At the same time, you start looking at their challenges of dollar exchange rates, and so it makes renewable energy to be something that is now like out of the reach, out of the reach of the poor masses. An average Nigerian may not be able to afford it.
Going into renewable energy is the best thing, and it's not capital intensive. It's the best because if you look at the state of the things that happen in the country, the cost of living is high, and people fueling generator, and the emission that comes from it is really not good to the policy system. So we want everybody to embrace renewable energy, which is very friendly, and it's very, very easy because it does not cause any harm to the society. And apart from that, the materials that are being used for installations does not cause any harm to society, like I said. So we want everybody to embrace renewable energy, the solar system in general. Air pollution is being caused from generator and our vehicles. Now, if you look at it, if everybody can embrace solar system, you see that the issue of air pollution will be reduced drastically. Like I said, solar system is very, very friendly. It does not cause any harm to the society. And apart from that, we have sun, and you have it every day. So it means that there's no harm in having it. You are harnessing energy from the sun, you are tapping energy from the sun. You have 24/7 of light. So it does not cause any harm to society at all. So when we embrace solar system, we are trying to reduce the emission that is being caused by our generator and our vehicle. The truth is this, our government, they know the truth. It's just that they don't want to key into it. We have different private companies that have come before now, and at the end of the day, we are still where we used to be. So that is why we are urging people to key into the renewable energy, because it is not too expensive. It is the best, and that's the truth. So if everybody can embrace it, you see that even companies can even come in, investors can come in, invest in renewable energy. At the end of the day, you see that everybody will be smiling, businesses will be going well, and that's the truth. The reason why so many companies are folding up is because you don't have constant power, and you can't actually do business without power, and that's the truth. So we are urging the government to, get companies that will, key into solar system. And there are so many companies that are already into it, but just that the finance is not there. So if government can give loans to help out, you see that so many persons will embrace solar system. And apart from that, the accessories, if they can try to subsidize it to see how these things can come in, we have it everywhere. So everybody can have renewable energy.
Things are not being done correctly because you see, the number consumption is supposed to be pay as you consume, but fortunately it's no longer like that, and it's very, very painful. It's very painful in that we have seen situation where some houses are even bid for about 80,000 naira per month. If you look for the actual consumption of these houses, their consumption is not even up to even 15,000-20,000 naira, but they gave bill of about 100,000. So what the BDC staff says that okay, pay the little you can pay, and later they will. By the time you pay the little you can pay, the balance will be there for you, and it's so painful when you get your your BDC bill at a particular period. See debt on your this thing. So I've always said that they need to work on this because you see, if you say okay, just pay what you have, forget about the bill that is being sent to you, it will be discouraged.
We in Nigeria, we don't deserve estimated billing. If you may ask somebody now, for example, the NEPA man will tell you you're supposed to spend 2,000 or 1,500 in a month when there's steady power supply. But today you find that somebody will just come and said maybe they give you like 2 hours of 8 hours in a month, and they expect you to pay thousands of naira of what you don't even make use of. It's outrageous. It's something that is uncalled for. We don't need it.
They really want to give us what we want. They got to invest into solar. We have enough sun. They have to invest into biofuel, which are locally available, cheaper to get, and also producing the same power, which we have now that is more even expensive. So I think they need to invest in it. Like the state governments, most time we hear them that they said this one, they want to give us power, they want to give us the thing, concentrating on the same old way. It will not help us.
A transition to renewable energy simply means utilizing energy from the sun, and this requires clean energy technologies that are newer, that are environmental friendly. Come to think of it, when we say leave the oil in the soil, we are talking of a post-petroleum economy. The need for Nigeria to divest is public finance, loans and subsidies that it puts on fossil fuel generation.
Renewable energy resources and technologies are a key component of sustainable development for the following primary reason. First, they generally cause less environmental hazards than other energy sources. Also, the implementation of renewable energy technologies will help to address the environmental concerns that emerge due to greenhouse gas emission, such as carbon dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, oxides of sulfur. A variety of renewable energy sources provide a flexible array of options for their use. All energy sources have impact on the environment. Fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas do substantially more harm than renewable energy sources by most measures, including air and water pollution, damage to public health, wildlife and inhabitant loss, water use, land use, and global warming emissions. However, renewable sources such as wind, solar, geothermal, biomass, and hydropower also have but less environmental hazards. The air and water pollution emitted by coal and natural gas plants is linked with breathing problems, neurological damage, heart attacks, cancer, premature death, and a host of other serious problems. The pollution affects almost everyone. Nigerians' energy need is on the increase, and its increasing population is not adequately considered in the energy development program. Many of the existing electricity plants in Nigeria are obsolete, moribund, or not functioning at all. Investigation has revealed that major causes of that problem are scarcity of relevant manpower for adequate maintenance and general discipline, lack of essential spare parts for maintenance of the plants, and absence of local manufacturing capabilities. Others are lack of systematic studies of distribution networks to reduce the extraordinary losses that usually accompany haphazard system expansion and inability to convert gas flares to a source of electricity. There is no doubt that the present power crisis afflicting Nigeria will persist unless the government diversify the energy sources in domestic, commercial, and industrial sectors and adopt new available technologies to reduce energy wastage. Government should also save costs, which can make a major contribution to the sustainable economic, environmental, and social development of Africa's most populated country, Nigeria. Caroline Okonji on Special Report.